Many of them, when I refer back to IOM, many of them were returnees. So women that were returned back from Libya and unfortunately had a very unfortunate situation in regards to their experiences, and then returned back to their country of origin, which is Somalia, joined our 6 weeks accredited course, and were given their toolkits and now have salons, and some of them have gone on to be beauty educators who currently work at our beauty academy. And these are individuals that, of course, had a very unfortunate situation, but has turned that experience around and now are contributing to their community and their country economically, and of course is a part of the social development as well. So as a diaspora, I'm very proud to be able to utilize the two worlds that I come from, and be able to be a part of that community that is welcoming change for the better. And of course, a part of that change is welcoming the idea of a borderless Africa, where we're able to move freely. As you mentioned, I am from a migrant background, so I was born in Saudi Arabia, but again, I'm Somali, and I basically was raised in the UK. So I support travel, I support the exchange of services, skill sets, and welcoming a vibrant, diverse community. But we can do that by, exercising a fun, safe movement across Africa and ideally across the globe. Thank you.
Thank you, Muna. Interesting, living, breathing proof of how impactful Africans in the diaspora can be to their countries of origin, as well as the countries where they be. And thank you for sharing that experience, Muna. Apologies, we need to break regular programming. I'm told that our Minister for Youth from Libya is in our midst, and I'll take this opportunity to welcome our Chief of Mission, Madam Sharon, to join us on stage to welcome the Minister. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause as she comes up.
Hamjambo? Hamjambo. You are in Kenya, so at least you need to know what Hamjambo means by now. You've been here 3 days. Again, a very welcome to each one of you. Thank you so much for coming here this morning to discuss, I think, to have this very interesting conversation when you're looking at African youth mobility to power African labor markets and trade. And I think that's very, very critical, especially now that you have heard from all these, for the last 3 days, talking about the youth in Africa. We have a youth bulge, so how can we leverage on that really to make sure that we can have the youth contribute to development in our country. And here today, we are pleased to have the presence of the Honorable Fatala El-Zuni, the Minister of Youth, Libya. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for gracing this occasion, for being here present. Before I call him to speak, our moderator, if you can kindly allow me to say a few words about what we do in IOM. I think as an organization, we've been doing quite a lot to make sure that IOM is able to meet the demands and deliver more effectively with and for young people. Those who choose to stay, those who choose to move, how are they moving? Are they moving in a safe, in a regular, in a responsible manner? Because if I may ask a question, in each one of us who are here today, how many of us were born in Kenya? Definitely, even for those who are Kenyans, by show of hands. Okay, those are born in Kenya. And how many are born in Nairobi? You have your grandparents and great-grand here in Nairobi, for those that are born in Kenya. None. And how many live in Kenya, but they are not Kenyans? Okay, we have some hands up. Those who live in Kenya, not Kenyans. And definitely how many maybe came in just for this summit? Okay, we have some hands. So that means, I mean, for those that are Kenyans and actually living in Nairobi, at least in one way or the other, we are migrants, aren't we? We are migrants. We have been moving. Mobility is part of human beings. We cannot live without moving. And we can move for so many reasons, and especially the youth. I'm sure you want to explore new opportunities. And for us as an organization, we are here to support. For those who choose to move, how are they moving? Do they have the right skills? Can they be prepared really to make sure that they can go in and fill in those skills gaps? You had this the previous session, trying to see how do we prepare our youth. And as IOM, we are really supporting, working with the government to make sure that we create skills mobility framework to support like regional integration, to make sure that the youth are well prepared, they have the right skills, they can go for the right jobs, including their rights being protected. And as we have realized that indeed we have a youth bulge in Africa, and actually that is an asset. That's the great resource that we have within the continent. So how do we engage? We are working with our member states, especially the global north, and we know very well there's a huge labor shortage in the global north. They don't have the skills, because of the aging population. So if we have the youth bulge in Africa, how do we prepare our own youth to be ready and fill in those skills gaps? And here, I'm glad to have our minister here today, probably can speak on behalf of the Africa as we engage with the countries in destination, the global north, so we can have like sort of a win-win solution to prepare our youth. So when they go out, those who choose to move, they have the right skills, their rights are taken care of, they're getting the right salaries to be able to get even remittances. If you look at, I think early this year, we had a conference on remittances, and indeed recognizing how the youth, the diaspora actually contribute to remittances, that was really great. And assuming we remove all the remittances that we are getting in, how much do you think the condition would be like? It will be very, very challenging. But if we prepare our youth so that they are able to have the right conditions, working condition, their rights are taken care of, I'm sure they're going to contribute significantly. And the other point, so we are engaging in the regular pathways to make sure that we have the right conditions in place, including visas. There was a study on visas where actually youth could not move easily because of the limitation in terms of visa free movement. The other point is on the exploitation, the abuse which is taking place within this whole recruitment process. So what we do, we engage with the government and the private sector so that the recruitment agencies can actually apply principles, ethical principles of recruitment. And here, IOM as an honest broker, we are engaging all the different stakeholders, so it's a win-win for everybody. And those who choose to stay, can they be prepared? Do we make sure that indeed they know and have the right information, including the right skills? So without taking much time, I would like kindly to invite His Excellency Honorable Fatala Alzuni, the Minister of Youth for Libya, to say one or two words before he joins the other bigger session. Excellency, you're welcome.
Good afternoon. I will speak Arabic. أتمنى أن تكون الترجمة لدى الجميع. هل لي أن أبدأ؟ في البداية الحقيقة أنا سعيد جدا أنا أتواجد في نيروبي وفي قمة الشباب الأفريقي، قمة التواصل. هذه القمة المهمة الحقيقة لعموم الشباب في أفريقيا، وباعتبارها قمة ملهمة حول القضايا التي تخص الشباب الأفريقي والتحديات الكبرى التي تشغل شبابنا. وفي اعتقادي أن وجود حركة مهرجانية وحركة تواصلية في أفريقيا يقوي الشباب ويقوي قدرتهم على التحديات المستقبلية والمشتركة اللي تواجه الشمال، اللي تواجه كل الأقاليم في أفريقيا، لأن في كثير من التحديات المشتركة التي تواجهنا جميعا، منها وفي القلب منها سياسات التنقل التي تخص الشباب الأفريقي. أنا في الحقيقة ابن الحركة الوطنية للشباب في ليبيا، وابن الحركة الطلابية في ليبيا يوما ما، وتشرفت بأني كنت أول وزير للشباب في الحكومة الليبية عام 2021. لأول مرة في ليبيا يكون هناك وزارة مستقلة للشباب، وهذا الأمر جاء بعد نضالات طويلة وكفاح طويل، وكان الشباب الحقيقة في ضحية لكثير من الممارسات ولكثير من التحديات. نتيجة لذلك جاءت حكومة الوحدة الوطنية في ليبيا وقررت تقديرا لتضحيات الشباب يجب أن تكون لديهم وزارة مستقلة. لا أعلم هل هذا من حسن الحظ أو هذا من سوء الطالع، لأن التحدي كبير وطموحات الشباب كبيرة. وفي الحقيقة عندما توليت هذه المهمة بعد 10 سنوات من حالة من الاحتراب والصراع في ليبيا، حالة من ضعف الدولة بشكل كبير جدا نتيجة ما حصل في ليبيا، نتيجة الثورة وسقوط نظام شمولي وتداعيات هذا الأمر، وجدنا أن الشباب في ليبيا الذي يمثل تقريبا 70% من الشباب هو وقود للحرب، وهو ضحية لنيران الصراعات، وهو لديه شحنة كبيرة من اليأس ومن البؤس نتيجة عدم القدرة على المضي للمستقبل بأمل كبير. وفي اعتقادي أن هذا الأمر يمر بكثير من الشباب الأفريقي، لأن في حقيقة الأمر أفريقيا مليئة بالتحديات. أفريقيا هذه القارة الغنية بالموارد، وهذه القارة الغنية بالتنوع الثقافي، وهذه القارة التي يتجاوز عدد سكانها 1,200,000,000، 70% منهم هم الشباب. هذه القارة أيضا تعاني من تحديات كبرى، يجد الشباب أنفسهم هم الضحية الأولى في نيران الصراع وفي استهداف القارة الإفريقية. وهذا الخطاب ليس خطاب لاشترار الماضي، لا، هذا لتوصيف حالة حقيقية يمر بها الشباب الأفريقي. اليوم بلدي ليبيا هي معبر حقيقي لقوارب الموت للشباب الأفريقي للهجرة نحو الشمال بحثا على فرص العمل الحقيقية. كيف ما تدخلت السيدة منى وتكلمت على أن من الضحايا شابات صوماليات مرن بليبيا، مرن بظروف صعبة وظروف قاسية نتيجة استهداف الشباب وغياب الطموح وغياب السياسات الرشيدة وغياب وتفشي الفساد في هذه القارة الغنية أثر بشكل مباشر جدا وبشكل يستهدف كل الشباب في الأقاليم الأفريقية. اليوم نحن كحركة أفريقية للشباب، نحن كصناع السياسات التي تعنى بالشباب، ملتزمين التزام كامل في ظل وجود حركة أفريقية شبابية واعدة لها القدرة على التفكير أن نجعل هناك حلقات وسلاسل من التناغم لحل هذه القضايا. مانديلا يقول: يظل المستحيل مستحيلا إلا عندما يتحقق بالإرادة. أمام الإرادة يمكن أن نصنع الكثير، أمام وحدتنا يمكن أن نصنع الكثير اتجاه تغيير الواقع. اليوم الشباب الأفريقي يعاني من قضية هامة ومهمة، وهي قضية الهجرة وحركة الشباب الأفريقي والتنقل. اليوم حجم التنقل الشباب الأفريقي ما بين الدول الأفريقية هو الأقل على مستوى مناطق العالم. نحن نضع قيود في التأشيرات وفي التنقل ما بين الدول الأفريقية وما بين الشباب الأفريقي لكي ينتقل ما بين المناطق الأفريقية. وفي الاتجاه المقابل يسمح بشكل كبير جدا إلى قدوم الوافدين من خارج أفريقيا للعمل في أفريقيا وللاستثمار في أفريقيا، وتقديم التسهيلات الكبرى للمستثمرين ورواد الأعمال من خارج أفريقيا. ولا نسمح أو هناك قيود كبيرة جدا في حركة تنقل الشباب الأفريقي. اليوم أمامنا تحديات. مفهوم الأمية اليوم في التي تواجه الشباب الأفريقي اختلف عن 30 سنة ماضية. اليوم محو الأمية التقنية هو ما يحتاجها الشباب الأفريقي لولوج أسواق العمل بشكل مباشر. لم تعد القراءة والكتابة هي التحدي الأكبر من أجل أنك أنت تتحصل على فرص عمل سواء داخل القارة داخل الدولة الواحدة أو حتى على مستوى أفريقيا. أبعد من ذلك سياسات التنقل الداخلية داخل الدول فيها الحقيقة فيها مشكل حقيقي يتمثل في بعد مركز إدارة الدولة وتركز فرص العمل وتركز الفرص الاستثمارية داخل مركز إدارة الدولة وما يسمى بالعواصم والمدن الكبرى، في حين أن الريف وشباب الريف والشابات من داخل الريف تواجههم تحديات حقيقية حتى في التنقل. لدينا أيضا على مستوى الأقاليم والمجموعات الاقتصادية في أفريقيا لدينا قيودات. الحقيقة فيه إرث يجب من تجديده وإرث يجب من العمل عليه، وهو إرث الذي عملت عليه الحركة الأفريقية للشباب. اليوم ميثاق حقوق الشباب الأفريقي الذي يضمن بشكل كبير جدا حرية التنقل وحرية العمل وحرية الهجرة داخل القارة الأفريقية وما بين الدول الأفريقية. مستوى تنفيذ السياسات وإنزال وتطبيق هذا الميثاق لازال محدود على مستوى الدول الأفريقية. لدينا هو ما بين ما نقول وما بين ما ننفذ، ولهذا المسألة ترتبط ارتباط وثيق بمسألة الإرادة مهمة جدا على مستوى صناع القرار. الإرادة مهمة جدا على مستوى التفاف الشباب الأفريقي حول منظمات ضاغطة وضغط ومناصرة من أجل حلحلة الكثير من الأمور. ويجب علينا بشكل أكبر تسليح الشباب في أفريقيا، تسليحهم بالمهارات والعمل على أن نضغط أن القيادات الشبابية في أفريقيا. يجب اليوم في مهرجان مثل هذا يحضر 16,000 من الشباب من أكثر من 35 دولة في أفريقيا. يجب أن يكون المستقبل أن هم يكونوا في دوائر صنع القرار بشكل مباشر، يكونوا على مستوى الإدارات المحلية، يكونوا على مستوى البرلمانات الوطنية، لأنهم هم أبناء هذه القضية والقضية المهمة التي تضمن من خلال وجود إرادة شبابية صادقة أن نحن نتجاوز العديد من المعيقات. لا يمكن بأي حال من الأحوال، لا يمكن أن احنا نتكلم على سياسات العمل وسياسات الهجرة دون أن يكون لدينا استراتيجيات ويكون لدينا أدوات ضغط مباشرة للولوج نحو المستقبل. حقيقة أنا لم أتعود أن أتحدث بروح المسؤول أو بروح الوزير بقدر ما تعودت أن أترافع حول حقوق وقضايا الشباب والطلبة، لأن أنا ابن الحركة الوطنية للشباب وابن الحركة الطلابية للشباب التي تمثل المشتل الحقيقي للقيادات والتي تمثل الخزان الحقيقي للعبور نحو المستقبل، للعبور للأمل، للعبور للوحدة، للعبور للقوة، لتكاثفنا من أجل أن نجعل أفريقيا واحدة. يجب أن تزول يوما ما وستزول بإرادة الشباب الأفريقي كل القيود اللي تمنعنا من التواصل وخلق فرص عمل وتنمية الثروة. ما هي الثروة في حقيقتها؟ الثروة في حقيقتها ليست الموارد القائمة، الثروة هي عائد المورد، ما يتم استثمارا من الموارد الطبيعية. اليوم الاقتصاديات العالم تعاني من ندرة في الموارد. اليوم أكبر الموارد هي الموارد في أفريقيا. أفريقيا هي قبلة العمل المفروض تكون، وهي تكون البوصلة نحو كل الشباب الأفريقي. لا حاجة في حقيقة الأمر أن الشباب الأفريقي يتجاوز ويعبر قوارب الموت للوصول إلى الأسواق العالمية والحصول على فرصة عيش أفضل، ولكن الفساد، ولكن الصراعات، ولكن الاستهداف لأفريقيا والشباب الأفريقي هو اللي يجعلنا نعبر نحو قوارب الموت. أنا حبيت أن أتدخل بهذا الاستهلال، وأحيي الحقيقة المنظمين على إدارتهم. والحقيقة أنا كنت ممتن جدا لحجم التدخلات الذي ينم على أن هناك شباب أفريقي واعد سيعمل بالشراكة مع بعضهم البعض لتغيير واقع أفريقيا نحو القوة والاتحاد. وشكرا.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We appreciate all those input from you. I think you really highlighted a few issues which are very cross-cutting. I think the entire African youth, the challenge they face when they are moving, actually. I know in the interest of time, we're supposed to be joining the other group, so I won't summarize what we have shared. I'll pass over to our moderator, probably to give a few, maybe 2 or 3 seconds to the other panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate you, Minister, for the remarks. Now, coming back to our conversation and picking up from where the Minister stopped, I'll proceed to Komi Sowu. Like I said, this is the UNDP Regional AFCFTA advisor. For those of you who don't know what AFCFTA is, this is the African Continental Free Trade Area. And Komu is well established in this sector. I won't belabor his profile, but let me speak to the key issues that he will be highlighting. So the World Bank and the AFCFTA Secretariat project that the AFCFTA, if fully implemented, could lift about 40 million people out of extreme poverty and another 68 million people out of moderate poverty. Now, this projection holds significant promise for the youth, especially for the youth, but it also underscores the imperative to position ourselves in a manner that we're able to take full advantage of the AFCFTA. Now, Komu, if you can just highlight how can African youth leverage digital platforms and skills to create innovative solutions in the context of the AFCFTA?
Great. Thank you, and thanks also for inviting UNDP for these excellent discussions. So first, I want to start by this young lady I met this morning, who is from Cote d'Ivoire. So she came with some very nice bags made from leather and textile product from West Africa. And she came to Kenya to explore the market opportunity to exchange those goods. Now, what she wants is to be able, first, to move freely with her goods, where with ease of access to the market, Kenya or other African market. But also, she wants to be able to have her product that are coming from Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa, to East Africa, very competitive on the market with low tariffs. That's why actually what the African Continental Free Trade Area is doing is to lowering tariff and non-tariff barriers so that inter-African products become more competitive. But we also know that goods cannot move without people following them, right? But that lady, young lady from Cote d'Ivoire cannot be traveling every time because it's costly to travel. So she needs to, at a point, find a way to really put her products on digital marketplaces. And that is one of her objectives, right? So currently, I think on the continent, we have the market. and the AFCFTA is opening the whole continental market. But how do we ease movement of goods? How do we make sure that a customer maybe in Ethiopia, in Libya, is aware that I can find this product, for instance, in South Africa, in Zambia, in Mali, in Guinea, and then I can order online and then get it. That's where we are seeing a lot of opportunity, a lot of youth innovating. What, for instance, a young woman is doing from Zimbabwe, she is consolidating shipment for MSMEs, groupage. And through her platform, she's actually doing all the process, trade formality, custom procedures to businesses that want to ship their goods to Eastern African market. And she's using a digital platform, and she's also investing in fintech, providing funding to those that are trading in terms of logistics solutions. So we are going to see most of these coming, and what we are doing actually, what is coming to our mind is like next year we want to launch a challenge in terms of those young people that are finding innovative solutions, can be logistics, for instance, to promote intra-African trade, because we see a huge potential. So in a nutshell, since we are a bit late, that's in summary what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Komi. And let me move to Ngatia in the interest of time, because I am told that we need to move to the plenary. Ngatia, in closing, how can countries make sure that their young people's voices are part of the policy decisions?
Thank you very much. My name is Ngatia Mhoya. Briefly, I'll say that policy seems very esoteric for young people. It seems like something we don't understand, something we're left out of. Even there's a popular saying that says, if you're not on the table, then you're on the menu. And as young people, we feel excluded, and that leads to a lot of apathy, because we feel the country or the economy or the policies made for us are not done by us. And the solution to this is active participation. It begins with a mindset. First and foremost, we have to believe that we can actually make a difference. We can actually cause a change. And the office of the citizen, which is the most important office that a young person can hold at any given point without any money or any power, is important. Now, how we do this in Kenya, and particularly my organization, is we empower young people to speak using a digital public participation tool. We've partnered with the Council of Governors, and this allows young people to, from the comfort of their phones, log in, give input, discuss policy, discuss agendas of the day, and this in turn allows decision makers to engage young people online. And to sum it up, young people must change their attitude towards leadership. We have to believe that we can make a difference, that we can actually impact our society. It begins now. It begins with organizing ourselves. It begins with organizing our communities and eventually our countries. But it must start now. It must start with us, with the tools we have, digital tools that we're empowered with. We can start with social media and move to more bespoke platforms. But I think that is my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ngatia. Quite useful remarks right there. And I don't want to stand between you and the music. I can hear it's calling us to the plenary. But just to finalize, allow me to give the panelists just 50 seconds each to quickly give their final takeaways or their final remarks or recommendations that should go into the communique coming out of this summit. I will start with Walter over here. Walter?
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. I think all that needs to be said has been said. And we do understand the importance of free movement for young people. So firstly, I think one thing that is important, especially to deal with the issue of unemployment, is that we need public-private partnerships between educational institutions and also the public institutions, or private institutions rather, which are companies. This will help a lot of young people understand what is needed for the workforce and enhance the ability for them to be employed. And I think secondly, and most importantly, I would like to also mention that we need the unequivocal ratification of the protocol establishing the free movement of persons. There's been a lot that has been said about the FCFTA. 47 out of the 55 countries have ratified it, but we only have 4 that have ratified the protocol establishing the free movement of persons. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an anomaly, it is unfair, it is an error. So we need the young people in this room to rise up for the unity of Africa and ensure that this particular protocol is ratified and we achieve the dream of Agenda 2063, which is a united and prosperous Africa. I thank you.
So just to pretty much what Walter said, a lot that's been very beneficial. I would like to add from a diaspora standpoint, as an individual, you can tend to put pressure on yourself as to what could I possibly contribute or where should I start. And I feel like it's important to work with our leaders and also communities and areas that we come from. And we should also start small as well. I think there's no shame in always going back 6 and understanding and learning as you go, and there's always room for development. So I feel like with that mindset, you're able to actually contribute something impactful, positive and sustainable. Personally for me, I couldn't speak Somali, but of course I made it a priority because I knew there was something that I could contribute back in Somalia. But of course I put so much emphasis on the fact that I couldn't speak well. So I was like, what am I going to do? So what I did was, amongst many things, I spent three days in a village, which was very foreign to me, and I stayed in a hut, and I was speaking with locals. I was picking up, small talk as well as big talk. Long story short, the thing is, the efforts start with us, and by bettering ourselves, we're able to better the communities that we want to impact, and of course, see that big, beautiful Africa that we all envision. And of course, it starts with collaboration, a conversation, and action. So yeah, that's what I'd like. Thank you.
Thank you, Muna.
I'll keep it brief. What I'll say is we must become the change that we want to see in the world. As Africans, we have been told a narrative about ourselves that is false, that we are, the dark continent. We are a challenge. We have problems. But every problem is an opportunity. Every challenge is a pathway to success. Because without problems, we cannot find solutions. And without solutions, we cannot find success. So my challenge to each and every one of you here is identify a problem worth solving and commit your life to solving it. Because we're not here, I'll end with a quote. We have not inherited this land from our forefathers. Rather, we have borrowed it from our children. And it is our responsibility and our right to return it in a better state than that which we received it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ngatia.
Yes, quickly, I think at the continental level, to add to what Walter said, I think it's good for African Union to now nominate a champion on free movement of people. I think that is, at continental, it's important. The second, I think one where we are now seeing a lot of potential in terms of digital trade and so, it's important for government to invest in to ensure internet coverage broadly, especially in remote areas. Invest also in digital payment system, because this will facilitate a lot cross-border payment, and also digital skills. I think less than 5% of graduates today are have digital skill, for instance, from the science and technology. And for youth, I think, in terms of, especially those that are graduating or looking to what to do, and university, I think, is important now to invest and be able to also get to those graduates with the STEMs, which is quite important to bridge digital gaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Komi.
شكرا. الحقيقة في اعتقادي أن من المهم جدا في إطار تفعيل منظمة التجارة القارية واتفاقية التجارة القارية أن الدول تعمل بشكل كبير جدا على تخصيص نوافذ للتمويل للشباب، خاصة فيما يتعلق بنوافذ التمويل الأصغر للشباب بشكل مهم جدا، مع التركيز وإعطاء الأولوية الكبرى للمناطق خارج المدن الكبرى ومناطق الريف، وإعطاء الأولوية لنوافذ التمويل للشابات خاصة فيما يتعلق بالتمويل الأصغر للشابات. مسألة مهمة جدا أيضا على مستوى إقرار السياسات الوطنية والسياسات المحلية، وهي مسألة التحول الرقمي على مستوى المناهج التعليمية، لأن كثير من فرص العمل والكثير من انتقال السلع يتطلب بشكل كبير جدا أن يكون هناك تحول حقيقي على مستوى المناهج التعليمية التي تركز على تعزيز وتنمية ثقافة العمل الحر لدى الأجيال الناشئة واختيار المهن اللي هي متعلقة بالمستقبل. أيضا نقطة أخيرة وهي في إطار تعزيز منظومة منظمة التجارة القارية، وهي مسألة وحدة الإجراءات الجمركية ووحدة الإجراءات والقيود التي الضريبية، لأن الحقيقة صغار ورواد الأعمال، صغار التجار ورواد الأعمال والشركات الصغيرة والناشئة تتطلب في بدايتها لنجاحها هي مسألة تحديد وتسهيل الإجراءات الجمركية، خاصة على مستوى الأقاليم المتقاربة. في اعتقادي أن هذه المسائل مهمة جدا في إطار تسهيل وتعزيز ريادة الأعمال للشباب والاستفادة من منطقة التجارة القارية. شكرا.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Now, allow me to let this gentleman speak because he has, in fact, come up to the stage and he says he has a burning question. If he goes home with a burning question, he might burn his house. So please, make it 50 seconds.
Thank you very much. My name is Takusi So. I'm from Cameroon. I think I've been following up a lot of conferences. We have had a lot of issues about the youth, about connecting the borderless system. But I think we haven't really touched the main issue. Because in Africa, I think Africans are very intelligent, very talented. Talking about the digital system, we understand that there are a lot of Africans who have engaged into scamming. You have people come up with their online platforms, but you go on to get something, but you realize that you have been scammed. For this program, I have 3 friends who paid in to the Kenyan website for e-visa. They paid to a wrong site. That is a very serious problem when it comes to digital operation. I think one of the main problems we have in Africa is that we don't have a base. Africans just operate anyhow. They just catch up because there is no operating system. We all know how the computer operates. If the operating system is not there, you cannot install applications and it cannot work properly. I think Africa needs to create an operating system. And what is that operating system? It's simple, hospitality. If hospitality can be put in place in Africa, I think Africa will be borderless automatically. Africa will move forward without any issue. How can this be implemented? I think the UN, I think our brother is here, UNESCO, they should come up with a curriculum because the elderly, they can't give power because they don't trust. With hospitality, there is trust, there is peace, there is love, and everything can be installed properly. I think what the government should do is that they should come up with a curriculum where hospitality should be taught from the basic level. Every child growing up should understand what it means to be hospitable to one another. Once that platform is put as an operating system, I think Africans will understand the importance of helping one another and for Africa to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your passion and the remarks you just made. And unfortunately, we will not have a Q&A session. Please pardon us because we're required to be moving, actually 5 minutes before this. But we understand the appetite for this conversation, and our hope is that this goes beyond this stage. Our panelists will be available for you to have a chat with them in case you have any questions or you need to discuss something further. But for now, allow me to welcome our Chief of Mission for the closing remarks so that we can head off to the closing plenary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. I'll quickly give maybe some key takeaways or recommendations from our side, as IOM didn't mention the UN, what we do. I would say, one, I think it's important to invest in skills partnerships, particularly with TVETs, which help to act as a bridge between recent graduates and job opportunities, because that's something which has been missing. Amplify youth voices on issues that concern them through establishing youth-focused coordination platforms. I see this connect is very, very critical, but I think the challenge to each one of us is how do we actually take action? After this conversation, how do you put in place some concrete way forward to action on what we have agreed upon? I'm challenging maybe even our youth migration ambassador from AU, maybe we take forward this. Then engage with members of the diaspora to come back to their countries of origin for their skills and knowledge transfer for local youth. Because when we have youth leave their countries of origin, sometimes there's a concern of brain drain, and then we have lots of gaps in terms of skills. But when those have left, how do they build the youth back home in sharing the experiences? I think it's important to support the government in creating skills mobility frameworks, support regional integration activities. Part of this is through promotion of mutual recognition of skills. I think that's something which has been missing, looking at skills qualification, meaning youth who are part of some member states that have ratified these free movement protocols, how do they share? Our friend here talked about hospitality. I mean, how do you have those skills to be recognized in other countries of destination where we are going? I wanted us to make sure that youth receive the information they need before making decisions to work abroad, for instance, through awareness raising, challenges, opportunities, and what they need to do to prepare for that. We engage with the youth, but most of them don't have this information and even where they can actually access that information. So it's important to engage. Lastly, I wanted us to look at more providing technical support to our member states, supporting member states who come through to benchmark. Like in Kenya, you've done quite a lot. How can other countries come to benchmark from here, but again, put into practice what has been done? I really want to say thank you so much. Unfortunately, we didn't have a Q&A session. I'm sure you have lots of ideas. Probably we can interact even after we have left this room. Thank you so much to our panelists. It's been really, exciting to hear from you. I feel like a youth. Even when I'm very, very old, but I'm now more energized, becoming even much younger. And to our able moderator, really thank you so much. Over.
And a round of applause to our audience. Thank you so much for coming.